Why do Germans say ich wasche mich? Is it like they wash themselves twice? And what is this mich, dich, sich doing everywhere in a sentence? So if this topic reflexive verbs confuses you a lot, then this video will fix everything once and for all. So welcome back to my channel Deutsch Flix, where German is still weird, but slowly it is making sense. So in this video, we're gonna cover what are reflexive verbs, what is a reflexive pronoun, and how does it differ in accusative and dative case, and finally, how do we use reflexive verbs in a real sentence. Sind Sie bereit? Are you ready? Los geht's. So before we try to understand what are reflexive verbs, it would be better if we discuss how to identify a reflexive verb in German. So these verbs always have a reflexive pronoun. It is called sich. And what is the meaning of sich? Sich means oneself. Now I'll write two reflexive verbs in German. So we have sich vorstellen, which means to introduce oneself. Now how do we know this is a reflexive verb? Just by looking at this sich reflexive pronoun, we can know, okay, this is a reflexive verb. Then we have sich konzentrieren, which means to concentrate. Now once again, this is a reflexive verb because of this reflexive pronoun sich. Now see, reflexive verbs in English are not that common. Like we have very few reflexive verbs in English, but German language is filled with reflexive verbs. And it may be that one verb is reflexive in one language and it is non-reflexive in other language. For example, to concentrate, this is non-reflexive in English. Like I do not say I concentrate myself on learning German, right? There is no myself. No myself is required. But in German, you cannot drop this sich part, okay? And now this is a coincidence that to introduce oneself, this is reflexive in English and also it is reflexive in German. So one thing is for sure that German language is filled with reflexive verbs. And just like in English, you change oneself according to the pronoun, right? I becomes myself, then you becomes yourself, he, himself, she, herself, right? So we also have to change the reflexive pronoun depending on the personal pronoun. That we will see on the next page. But for now, what are reflexive verbs? What is the core idea behind reflexive verbs? Now for this, you just have to understand only one statement. When the action is being done to the person who is doing the action. For example, this is my comb and I am combing my hair, right? Now who is doing this action? I am doing this action. And this action is done onto which person? To myself, right? So with every reflexive verb, you do the action to yourself and you're the one who is doing the action. So this statement confuses a little at the beginning, but as soon as we'll see some sentences, it will make sense. So in case of reflexive verbs, there's another statement which is true, that subject and object, they are same and they belong to the one person. In order to understand this, I is equal to myself. So when you say I am introducing myself, who is I? Me. Who is myself? Once again me. So here subject is equal to object. Before we look at the sentences, we have to understand how a reflexive pronoun change according to the personal pronoun. And we have to discuss that in both the cases, in accusative case and in dative case. Okay, so this is the table, reflexive pronoun table in accusative case and dative case. And on the left hand side, we have all the personal pronouns, right? Okay, so if you look at this table, you might feel like that we have already discussed this table at A1 level. But no, we discussed the similar table, and that was personal pronoun in all the cases, in nominative case, in accusative case, and in dative case. Now here we have ich, mich, mir. There also we had ich, mich, mir, but the meaning of mich and mir was me. And here what is the meaning of mich and mir? It means myself. Then we have du, dich, dir. Now here the meaning of dich and dir is yourself. And yeah, this was totally different in case of personal pronoun. Now here for every pronoun, be it er, sie, es, we say sich. So this is sorted. So it could mean himself or herself or itself. Now we have wir, uns. There the meaning of uns was us, but here it means ourselves. Then for ihr we have euch, which is yourselves. And for small z it is sich, and for capital Z also it is sich. Now if it is small z, it means they, so it becomes themselves. But if it is capital Z, then it becomes yourself formally. Yourself or yourselves. You know, right? This capital Z is used both for singular as well as plural. So for singular, we will use yourself. For plural, we will use yourselves. Now, if I compare reflexive pronoun table and personal pronoun table, so this part and then this portion, it is same, right? But in case of AZS, we have something else there. And here also with Z and Z, we have something else. Okay. If you want to take a look at the personal pronoun, then you can see here on this page and you can pause the video. And you can see the meaning here is totally different from what we discussed on the previous page for reflexive verbs. Now that we have discussed everything, we can easily frame our sentences using reflexive verbs. And for that, let's take the verb sich waschen. Now firstly, is it a reflexive verb or not? I can see there is sich written next to the verb, right, on the left hand side. That means it's a reflexive verb for sure. And the meaning of sich waschen means to wash. So it means this is non-reflexive in English language, but it is reflexive in German. Now, if I want to say I'm washing, as in I'm washing myself, then how do I say that in German? I say ich. I will just conjugate the verb waschen according to ich. Ich wasche. And I cannot forget sich. Sich I will change to mich. So ich wasche mich. Now what is ich? Ich is in nominative case, which is my subject of the sentence, right? And what is this mich? This is nothing but in accusative case, and it is object. Now, is my condition true? Subject is equal to object. Yeah or नाही? Yeah. Subject ich is equal to object mich. We'll try to understand what is ich, mich using this. So, say you are standing here and this is a mirror and you're seeing your reflection in the mirror. Now on the left hand side this is ich and on the right hand side it is mich. So mich is nothing but your mirror image. Reflexive pronouns are nothing but your mirror image. Similarly, if I want to say you wash yourself, then it will be du. And yeah, waschen is irregular verb. A changes to a umlaut. Du wäscht. And I will change sich according to du. It will be dich. I know some of you might be thinking, why am I going with accusative case, mich, dich? Why not me or dear? So we'll come to that. For now, we are using reflexive pronoun in nominative case. Now you have to use the verb sich rasieren, which means to shave. And you have to tell me how will you say I shave and he shaves in German. So you can pause the video and write down your sentences. So for I shave, all I have to do is use the subject ich, which you will conjugate accordingly. Ich rasiere, and then the reflexive pronoun which you cannot forget, mich. Ich rasiere mich, which means I shave myself. Now if I want to say he shaves, then it will be er rasiert sich, which means he shaves himself, he shaves. So in case of reflexive verb, the action is being done to the person who is doing this action. Okay, I am the one who is shaving and this action to shave is also done to me. Let's discuss few more sentences. So ich wasche die Hände. It seems like I want to say I wash my hands. Now here the verb is sich waschen, but I have not filled reflexive pronoun yet. I will be filling it here. But the question is, shall I go with mich or mir? Now let's discuss the case system here. Waschen is being conjugated according to ich. Ich is the subject of the sentence and subject is always in nominative case, right? But here die Hände, which are my hands, okay, that is object, or I should rather say direct object. And direct object comes in accusative case, right? Because D remains D in accusative case. Now we have nominative ich, we have accusative die Hände. That means reflexive pronoun is left with no choice, but it has to take dative case. Okay, so here the answer will be mir. Ich wasche mir die Hände. If I do the literal translation, I wash myself the hands. But it actually means I am washing my hands. I wash my hands. Bit weird, aber so ist es. But that's how it is. So now the question is, when will I use reflexive pronoun in accusative case and when will I use it in dative case? Now you have to come to this page and write down this statement. So most of the reflexive pronouns are used in accusative case. So if you want to play safe in your life, go for accusative case. But if there's already a direct object, in our case we had die Hände, the hands. So reflexive pronoun will take dative case. Hence we used mir, which is in dative. You need to understand one more thing, that it should be direct object. I hope you understand the difference between direct object, indirect object, and prepositional object. So direct object should not be equal to prepositional object. Now in order to understand this, maybe let's discuss one more sentence. So once again, if I want to say I am washing, so I'll say ich wasche mich. Basically this action is done to myself. Okay. Now let's say I'm washing myself, but I'm using a soap. Now here it will be ich wasche mit der Seife, with the soap. Die Seife means soap. Now here Seife is not direct object. This is prepositional object. How do I know this is prepositional object? Because mit is preposition. So whatever comes after preposition, that is called prepositional object. That means I cannot fill mir here because there is no direct object. So I will once again go with mich. Ich wasche mich mit der Seife. And you can have n number of prepositional object. You can have such a lengthy sentence, but reflexive pronoun will still come in accusative case. When will it come in dative case? If we have direct object. If we have direct object without any preposition. Let's discuss a new verb, which is sich putzen. It means to clean or to brush. Now if I want to say you brush your teeth, then it will be du. I'll conjugate the verb du putzt. Okay, now comes the reflexive pronoun for sure. But you're cleaning your teeth, right? So how do we say teeth? We say die Zähne. So this du is subject in nominative case. This Zähne, whatever you're brushing, is in accusative case, direct object. So that means reflexive pronoun is left with no choice, but it has to come in dative case. Now dative version of do, it is dir, right? So we will fill here dir. Du putz dir die Zähne, or ich putze mir die Zähne. Er putzt sich die Zähne. He is brushing his teeth. That's how we say in German. We have discussed enough example sentences. Now what we'll do is we'll discuss new reflexive verbs, okay? But in different type of sentence. Like we'll take W-Frage, we'll take Aussagesatz, and we'll take Ja-Nein-Frage. Why are we discussing these sentences? In order to check the position of a reflexive pronoun. Let's take a new verb. Sich kämen. What is sich kämen? It means to comb. So we have to discuss one W-Frage, one Aussagesatz, and Ja-Nein-Frage. Let's translate these sentences. First up, we have why do you comb your hair? That means we have to use this sich kämen. What we also required is the hair, which is called die Haare. Okay, so now the W word for why is warum, right? I will use the verb kämen, which I'll conjugate according to you. And for you, let's take do. Warum kämst du? Now we'll use a reflexive pronoun because that is called sich kämen, so we cannot forget sich. And here we also have a direct object, your hair. So here I'll write die Haare, the hair. And now my reflexive pronoun will come in dative case. Warum kämst du dir die Haare? Literal translation, why do you comb yourself the hair? Not so literal or correct translation, why do you comb your hair? So what is the position of a reflexive pronoun in V-Frage? Fourth position. First fixed by W word, then verb, then subject, and then finally comes my reflexive pronoun. Now we have I comb my hair in the morning. So ich käme. Now reflexive pronoun will come in dative case. Mir morgens, or you can also say am Morgen die Haare. So I'm also keeping time related stuff as close as possible to the verb, okay? Because for Germans, time is money, Zeit ist Geld. So they emphasize more on the time part, okay? Now here, reflexive pronoun is taking what position? Drei, third position. But in case of Aussagesatz, reflexive pronoun can also take fourth position. How? Now, if I twist this sentence, let's bring this time related stuff at the beginning. So it will be morgens, which means in the morning, or you can also say am Morgen, in the morning. Now, in case of Aussagesatz, verb has to be in the second place. Käme. It is being conjugated according to ich. And then comes my reflexive pronoun in fourth position. Die Haare. So it will mean in the morning, I comb my hair. So in case of Aussagesatz, either third position or fourth position. Now we had a time adverb here, hence we had two positions. But if the sentence is short, then you will see it will take most of the time third position. Then we have, do you comb your hair regularly? In case of Ja, Nein Frage, verb has to come first. So kämst. Or let us use a different pronoun for you. Kämen Sie. Okay, now comes my reflexive pronoun sich. Kämen Sie sich die Haare? Or let's also bring this regularly part here. regelmäßig. Kämmen Sie sich regelmäßig die Haare? Do you comb your hair regularly? Kämmen Sie sich regelmäßig die Haare? So in case of Ja-Nein-Frage, it takes third position. Once again, in case of W-Frage, fourth position. In case of Ja-Nein-Frage, third position. But in case of Aussagesatz, it can either take third position or fourth position, which we have seen in these two sentences. Now, if you have understood this, you have to translate these sentences. So the verb that you have to use is sich ausruhen, which means to relax. Here, interesting thing is we have reflexive verb, but even this verb, it's not a normal verb, it is separable verb. So let's see who will get it. You can pause the video and yeah, let's discuss it after 5 seconds. So we have when do you relax. So for when one, the verb that I have to use is ausruhen. In case of separable verb, I conjugate this part according to the subject and this part goes to the end of the sentence. Now, so that I do not make any mistake here, what I'll do is I'll conjugate the verb ruhen according to the subject, which is you do. If you have written Sie, then it will be ruhen Sie. Or if you have written ihr, that is also fine. Just conjugate it accordingly is what I want to say. Now, I will write aus at the end of the sentence, right? What am I left with? I am still left with the reflexive pronoun. So according to du, dich. Wann ruhst du dich aus? When do you relax? So we have I relax after the gym. So ich ruhe, aus will be at the end. Let's use our reflexive pronoun change according to ich. Ich ruhe mich. After the gym is not a direct object, it's a prepositional object. After is preposition. So it will be nach dem Fitnessstudio. Nach dem Fitnessstudio. So reflexive pronoun in third position, but I can also put reflexive pronoun on fourth position. How? If I bring this nach dem Fitnessstudio part at the beginning. Now you can see it is in fourth position. So this one entity, second position by verb, third by subject, and fourth by reflexive pronoun. Final sentence, does he relax on the weekend? So ruhen, I'll conjugate it according to er, then comes my reflexive pronoun in third place. Ruht sich on the weekend, am Wochenende. And then aus. So a reflexive pronoun will come in third position. And this is fixed, guys. In W-Frage, reflexive pronoun will come in fourth position. For sure. In case of Ja-Nein-Frage, for sure it will come in third position. Do not think you can bring am Wochenende here. Ruht am Wochenende sich aus. No, that doesn't work. This is fixed fourth and third position respectively. And in case of Aussagesatz, yeah, it is like the sentence is pretty much flexible. You can bring any part in the first place. So accordingly position will change. But yes, either third position or fourth position. Do not think since this sentence is very much flexible, so let's bring my reflexive pronoun in the first place. And now it's time for a practice exercise. So I have given you the reflexive verb. all you have to do is just write down the reflexive pronoun. So you have to think a lot whether you'll go with the accusative one or dative one. We'll discuss the answers in 5 seconds. You can pause the video. Okay, first up we have ich dusche mich. It means I take shower. Ich dusche mich. Let's say you want to say I take shower in the morning. So you can say ich dusche mich morgens or am Morgen. Or I take shower regularly. Ich dusche mich regelmäßig. Then we have the reflexive verb sich ansehen, which means to watch. Now reflexive pronoun will come in dative case. Ich sehe mir ein paar Videos an. Because this ein paar Videos, that is my direct object. So reflexive pronoun will come in dative case. Then we have sich kaufen. So if you're buying something for yourself, then you use sich kaufen. So here it will be kauft sich ein Auto. He buys a car for himself. Now this sich is in dative case. You should know the case also. Why dative? Because ein Auto is in accusative case, direct object. Then we have the verb sich schminken, to put on makeup. So with Z it is sich, but you need to understand the case. Case will be accusative. Jeden Tag means daily, every day. So it's not a direct object. 5, we have sich interessieren, which means to be interested. Now here it will be dich. Why dich? Why not dir? Because we have für die Politik. So für is a preposition and this is my prepositional object. So if we have direct object, then we fill the reflexive pronoun in dative case. Direct object is not equal to prepositional object. 6. Here the verb is sich anziehen. Sich anziehen means to put on or wear something. So yeah, you wear a coat. Du ziehst dir einen Mantel an. So einen Mantel is in accusative case, direct object, hence reflexive pronoun in dative case. 7. Sich freuen, which means to look forward to. So here we have auf die Party, prepositional object, not a direct object. So I will fill euch, answer will be euch, but you should know the case. Case is accusative. Freut ihr euch auf die Party? Do you look forward to the party? So in this practice exercise, I have used the reflexive pronouns which are used very frequently in everyday life. So even I am looking forward to your comments, your example sentences. Ich freue mich auf Ihre Kommentare. I am looking forward to your comments. And that's a wrap on one of the most important concepts of A2. But this was just part 1. You understood the core concept. Now we just have to take a look at the types of reflexive verbs and we'll discuss few more practice exercises. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss.
Like and subscribe.